Ghosts, multo in Tagalog, derived from the Spanish word muerto or dead, souls, or kaluluwa, spooks, mumu, maligno, halimaw, and shadows, anino, are probably the most common supernatural entities in the mainstream Filipino folklore. They are closely associated with death and the afterlife, attitudes which are largely defined by the established Catholic doctrine introduced by Spain in 1600, as well as by animist beliefs practiced by indigenous Filipinos centuries before that. As the only predominant Catholic nation in all of Asia, the concepts of heaven and hell, reward and punishment, fate, prayers, and penitence are all constant in everyday life. The centuries-old presence of the Chinese has added the Buddhist notions of karma, reincarnation, and ancestor worship to the popular consciousness, and even the geomantic art of feng shui had been gaining popularity in recent years. But in the southern Philippines, Islamic beliefs define concepts of the soul and of the afterlife, creating a unique cultural bridge with the neighboring Muslim nations of Malaysia and Indonesia. As much seen as they are felt, ghosts are often linked to locations where death has occurred, appearing in form from full apparitions to disembodied parts that float eerily in place. They can also manifest themselves as shadows, scents, wafting through the air like the smell of perfume or flowers, as voices that seemingly come from nowhere, or even as balls of lights that travel from place to place. Hauntings have been reported in all types of settings, again, usually at the location or proximity of where a person or a group has expired. Hospital wards, old colleges, and historical monuments are common venues, as are cemeteries, previous battlefields, and even rivers and waterways. Filipino ghosts are generally solitary figures in these environments, ranging from relatives who visit their kin after burial to seemingly malevolent souls who torment unsuspecting passerby. While some are seemingly locked in a predetermined pattern of behavior and movement, others appear to be spirits who are wandering about their grounds as if still alive.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple: Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by just reading this ad. What I like about Anchor is now that it's part of Spotify, you can reach more audience than ever before. And of course, it's very easy to use and get things done, even if you're just using your phone. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
A person's method of expiration is believed to be closely related to his or her spirit's return to the living. An extremely violent or painful death almost guarantees the spirit's return, acting as a type of spiritual residue upon the structure or location where the passing occurred. Deaths by suicide and by drowning are particularly feared. Suicides are considered a sin in Catholicism, and drowning victims are known to seek replacement victims in order for them to move on in the afterlife. Unfinished business is another common theme, where the spirit cannot rest until it concludes its business dealings or familial obligations when still alive. Perhaps influenced by Chinese practices, an improper burial when a burial ritual isn't performed or where the body is never found is said to cause the spirit to wander. Vengeance is another motif, with the murdered person seeking revenge and divine retribution against the perpetrator. Being touched by a ghost causes discoloration at the point of contact and can sometimes cause physical illness. These bruises usually appear in cases where a person is believed to have been pinched or toyed with by a ghost. Children are considered particularly vulnerable to spirits since their immune systems are not as strong as to resist them as in adults. Animals, particularly dogs, have long been known to be sensitive to the presence of spirits, or at least to occurrences of death. They've been observed howling spontaneously preceding mysterious events. In mainstream Catholicism, the dead are celebrated at the end of October during All Saints' Day, or Todos los Santos or Undas, and All Souls' Day, Todos los Difuntos. Family members would go to the cemetery and spend the day at their loved ones' grave sites and mausoleums, cleaning and repairing them while offering prayers and lighting candles. Many even dine there as well as spend the night. Inherited from the Spanish, this tradition parallels the Mexican Dia de los Muertos celebration, which is held on the same days. Indigenous tribes practice their own unique rituals in venerating their deceased, ranging from animist customs to Islamic rites in the predominantly Muslim South. communicating with spirits. The traditional way of communicating with spirits was to conduct a seance, usually with a lit candle in the middle of a table surrounded by friends or family members. Employing a Ouija board was also a popular method, with participants taking care not to press on the shuttle too firmly to allow the spirits to move in independently. Protection against spirits. According to popular beliefs, there are 3 ways to protect oneself when confronted with an apparition: prayer, talismans, and preemptive blessings. Reciting prayers when confronted with a ghost is said to drive it away. The power of holy or Latin-sounding words, together with one's faith in them, should be enough to make it disappear. Wearing or carrying religious talismans such as rosary beads, crucifixes, and scapulars are also considered protection, not just against ghosts, but anything supernatural. Mounting crucifixes on the wall, along with placing religious statues in the house, is also said to keep spirits away. Many Filipinos even hang rosary beads on the rearview mirror of their car as added insurance to prevent injury. Possessing holy water, either blessed by a priest or procured from a holy site, is very potent against the supernatural. Preemptive blessing simply means having a priest or a shaman ritually bless a property to drive away potentially harmful resident spirits. It is customary, for example, for Filipinos to have their homes blessed by a Catholic priest upon moving in. When residing on a new plot of land, some native Filipino tribes offer the sacrificial blood of animals upon the property, or called padugo, or fumigated with smoke, pausok, prior to settling on the location. Common varieties. Despite the seemingly endless accounts of ghostly phenomena recorded in the urban folklore, there are specific types that appear repeatedly. Anniversary ghosts. Spirits that appear only on the date of their deaths, sometimes making their presence known by shaking or moving objects, or actually recreating their demise visually before disappearing again. Residential ghosts. Spirits of the deceased who seemingly remain after their physical passing, usually haunting homes or location they frequented while still alive. This can include previous home residents and even employees of the companies who either work for a long time or perished at their jobs. Family ghosts. Apparitions of deceased loved ones who sometimes appear at the foot of one's bed or even in one's dream. Though shocking to behold at first, they are generally benevolent and are considered to be only visiting to the living family. Crisis apparitions. Family-specific ghosts who make their presence known only when there is an emergency that affects their household. Point of death ghost. spirits that appear to loved ones seemingly at the exact moment of their passing, making their presence in a dream or as a chilling wind or the mysterious turning of doorknobs. White ladies, mysterious female apparitions dressed in a white clothing, haunting specific locations at night or appearing as hitchhikers who procure rides to reach a destination, only to disappear from the backseat upon arrival. The classic example of this is the urban legend White Lady of Balete Drive. Her profile matches the vanishing hitchhiker motif found worldwide. Religious figure ghost. Due to the Spanish influence on Filipino culture, these apparitions are described as priests and nuns who haunt churches or religious colleges. Some of the priests were said to be beheaded, a common type of execution from the country's colonial past. Nun spirits abound in all-female colleges and dormitories as strict in the afterlife as when they were alive. There are also occasional sightings of the Virgin Mary and even concrete angel statues that are said to come alive and wander about at night. Japanese ghost. Apparitions of World War II soldiers that have stayed diligently at their post after dying, often going through their normal routine as if still alive. Drowning victims. These souls are particularly feared, dwelling in the rivers and waterways where they perished. Because of the nature of their death, it is widely believed that these spirits seek out swimmers to drown, specifically so they can be replaced by another victim of the same fate. Besides having uncharted depths and unpredictable currents, many of the provincial rivers are infested with leeches and turn coffee brown after torrential rain. While growing up, we were more afraid of the river than the ocean because we didn't know how deep it was and what exactly dwelt beneath the water. Medical apparitions. Sightings of spectral doctors and nurses in hospitals are also common in urban folklore, either wandering the halls or riding the elevator with unsuspecting guests or patients. Balls of fire or bolang apoy. Known locally as San Telmo or Saint Elmo's fire, these floating orbs are said to be the souls of people who perished at sea. Another popular belief maintains that they are the restless spirits of those who were murdered, who died by accident, or were condemned to wander the earth until their sins were expiated. Some accounts, they've been known to lead people to buried treasure. Playful elementals. invisible, mischievous entities that toy or play tricks upon their victims. They sometimes throw rocks or spray water at unsuspecting passerby, and even tap people on shoulder from out of thin air. Atmospheric ghosts, entities that mysteriously appear behind people in photographs, noticed only after the picture has been taken. Infant or children ghosts. This is a minor class of spirits that appear in several forms, as abortion is considered a sin and frowned upon in the Philippines. The spirits of aborted fetuses are said to be sometimes heard wailing in fields. Spirit children have been known to stand on street corners and give directions to wayward drivers, only to get them even more lost. Occasionally, the ghosts of babies have been known to step on chalk and leave their footprints on blackboards of classrooms.